Hello, hello, everyone. So I recently watched a Korean horror movie called Bedeviled, and this is by far one of the most disturbing movies I have ever watched. And it's not really because of the violence; it's because of the psychological torment that is seen in this movie. Find that, yes, violence can be extremely disturbing, don't get me wrong, that goes without saying. But the psychological stuff that really hits your soul, that stuff can be extremely disturbing, and at times more disturbing than violence. This is a movie about a Korean woman. Everybody in this film is Korean, so that goes without saying also. It's about a woman who is stuck in a very abusive marriage. And she is not only physically abused, but she is emotionally, psychologically tormented. Not just by her husband, but by the husband's whole family. You have the husband's brother, you got the husband's mom, and you have these women who are in their inner circle who are also negligent to her suffering and also partakers in the abuse. I heard some reviews of this movie, and basically everybody said that this movie was very well done, but very scary, very disturbing, and they weren't kidding. The film is very well directed, and at the same time, the movie is quite disturbing. And in this movie, the woman's husband's brother, rapes her. Her husband is sexually grooming their daughter. The daughter is not biologically related to the husband. The woman was raped at a young age and had a child. And she was very desperate. She was in need of some serious help. And so this guy, this abusive guy, took her in. And he is not only beating her up, but he is also sexually grooming her daughter, having her put on makeup, making her look like, trying to make her appear as though she's a grown woman, and touching her in an inappropriate manner. It's all very creepy. This movie is creepy, and it's if you have very disturbing reactions, or if you have I don't know, trauma reactions or whatever, you shouldn't watch. I don't recommend this movie. Actually, I do not recommend watching this movie. I don't. It's a very creepy film, which is why I'm going to spoil it for you. Spoil some parts of it for you. But I already have. But this movie, my goodness, this film, it really hit me. It really hit me. And what makes the film feel so claustrophobic and so tormenting to the viewer, I think, is how this woman cannot escape. And the biggest reason why she can't escape is because she's living on an island. She's living on an island off the southern coast of South Korea. And all these people who live on the island with her are all protecting this abusive husband. And they are enabling the abuse of this woman. And there's a scene in this movie where she's trying to escape. There's a prostitute who comes on the island because her husband is having sex with this prostitute. Her husband screws prostitutes. He's not faithful to her. On top of beating her up and just abusing her, this guy is having sex with prostitutes, and he brings prostitutes into the island by boat. So there's one prostitute sees how she's suffering, and she says, I can help you out. So the prostitute tries to help her out, and the prostitute brings a man on a boat to the island, and she gets on the boat with her daughter, and she gives the guy who rides the boat a bundle of money. And this Korean guy, oh my god, this guy is so annoying. He starts counting it right there. And she's like, get me on this boat and let's get the hell out of here. And this Korean guy's like, and the subtitles, say, I gotta count it first. And she's like, she's like, hurry up, drive us the hell out of here. Get us the hell out of this island. And this guy's like, and before you know it, there's the husband, and he drags her back to the community, and he begins to beat her up. And this is when the film is very intense. He begins to beat her up, and then the community starts to verbally lash out on her. And there's the daughter, and the daughter is seeing her mother being beaten. She of course doesn't like that, and she tries to intervene. And the husband grabs this little girl and throws her, and she falls down, and her head lands on a rock, and she dies. So not only is she now trapped on this island, not only is she being abused, beaten up, lambasted, she now has to face the reality that her daughter has now been murdered. So a police officer comes to the island, and he begins to do an investigation, and he begins to question the people in the community. And every person that this officer questions covers up for the husband. The husband's mother, even the guy who was riding the boat, he's also a witness to the killing of this young girl, doesn't do anything. The women on the island don't do anything. They're all defending this bastard, and they're all covering up for him. So this woman really has no hope. She has no hope. Her daughter was being molested. Now the daughter is dead. The whole community not only covers up for this guy, but they also begin to suggest that maybe the mother was the one responsible for the girl's death. And you just really can't imagine, you can't fathom how much of a nightmare this is. You just watched your daughter being killed by your husband, and now people are blaming you for it. And they're telling the police that maybe you were the one responsible. It's horrific. It's horrific. What makes this film, for me personally, so tormenting, so disturbing, is the fact that I myself have seen families like this. I had myself seen this, I haven't seen it, well, actually I have seen a little bit of this in front of me, but in my family, there is an example of this. This is not just a movie. I mean, it is a movie, but this is not, the story itself is not just impossible. It's not this impossible story. It's not this impossible fantasy. Things like this actually happen. You have communities, entire communities, who will go out of its way to protect and cover up for monsters, and they will blame the victim. It really is scary. The scene where she is yelling at the boat rider to get her and her daughter out of the island, and then the husband comes, and then the entire community begins to abuse her. That's pretty much what happened to my grandmother. You can tell something about a society by watching its movies. One thing I've noticed about Korean films and Japanese movies is that there's this continuous theme of societal pressure, collective pressure, peer pressure, and shaming. There's a lot of this, and this is a reflection of this Eastern culture, because literally it's pretty much the same in the Middle East, right? Well, maybe not as bad, but it's definitely there in the Middle East. Pressure, shaming, community pressure, this huge societal expectation that people feel like they have to fulfill, and also this collective push to protect somebody, regardless of how evil that somebody may be, because that somebody is a prestigious person in the community, and the victim is seen as lower. So it really doesn't matter what this person has suffered. We have to protect the we have to protect the person of prestige, be it the man of the house, be it somebody who is considered to be an authority, right? My grandmother went through this very thing. She was stuck in the Middle East for over 30 years. And when she tried to escape, I mean, she lived through horrendous abuse. And when she tried to escape, she was living in an Islamic society in the West Bank, which is near Israel. And she tried to escape one time with her kids. And before she could get to the airport, there was the whole family waiting. And they take her back. They forced her back to her home. And she got abused, more abuse. I know of one family where a woman was murdered by her husband. And everyone in the family knew that she was being beaten constantly by her husband. One day, my father got so sick of this, he got so sick of the fact that the family wasn't doing anything, that my own father personally went to this guy's house to face him. And the abused woman's two brothers got right in between my father and the abuser and held my dad back and told him it wasn't worth it. After this woman was murdered by her husband, her sister, who considers herself a devout Catholic, said, well, at least she did not get divorced. That's what she said after her own sister was murdered. At least she didn't get a divorce, because, the Catholic Church says no to divorce. At least she didn't get divorced. She stayed loyal to her husband to the end. Loyal to her husband with every punch to the death. It's sickening, guys. It really is sickening. And I have seen this sort of behavior in the Catholic Church, where people will know that a particular priest is an abuser, a particular priest is a predator, and they will cover up for him. I've seen it myself with my own eyes. When I went to confront Monsignor Yarbrough, who sexually assaulted a young man, the ushers of the church they got in front of me and they told me to leave. And I said, I'm just letting you know. I said, listen, I wasn't there to break any laws. I was there simply to prove a point. And I told these ushers, listen, this priest that you're protecting sexually assaulted a young man. And they said, well, we don't believe you. And I said, it's in the newspaper. And one guy said, I don't care who reported it. I don't believe you. Collective denial and covering up for the criminal. It's really sickening, guys. But anyway, this movie, if you want to see a disturbing movie that illustrates the theme of collective protection of the scum of humanity, then watch the movie Bedeviled. Anyway, you guys just heard some theology. God bless.